Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I, Dr. Neha Mehla, welcome you all in the fourth session on Publishing and Peer Review Process by Dr. Preeti of the ongoing Faculty Development Program on Enhancing Research Paper Writing and Publication Skills. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Akshay Jain for welcome of our today's speaker. Please, sir.
Good afternoon to one and all. Today our speaker is Dr. Preeti. Dr. Preeti ma'am is currently working as assistant professor in Department of Basic Science at Indian Institute of Information Technology, Nagpur. She has completed postdoc from National Aerosol Facility, Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur, in collaboration with CAP CMU USA. She has completed her PhD from Department of Applied Mathematics, Defense Institute of Advanced Technology, Pune. She has achieved All India rank 49 in joint CSIR UGC test for JRF and eligibility of lectureship in the subject mathematical science in NET category. She was a university topper during the MSc, and she was gold medalist from NIT Jalandhar. She has awarded with the Certificate of Excellence by DIIT Pune for providing service as a gender champion. She has worked in various institutes like Lovely Professional University, Triple IT, MILIT, DIIT Pune. Her specialization in area of computational and applied mathematics. Her research interests are mathematical modeling, data analysis, CFD, heat transfer, hybrid nanofluid. She has published more than 20 SCI paper and Scopus research paper in various reputed journal and international conferences. I welcome Dr. Preeti ma'am for today's session. Over to you, Preeti ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Akshay, for the introduction, and a very good afternoon to all of you, and very warm greetings to our participants from the foreign countries because we are in different time zones. Good afternoon, Neha, and good afternoon, Professor Shilpi. Hi, Mr. Mohammed.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Thank you. And okay, so shall I start?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
ma'am.
you.
You can share this
Please.
screen now.
Okay, I'll share my screen. Please allow me to share my screen.
Yes.
And you can share your screen.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is it visible?
Yes, ma'am. It is visible now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so today in the session 4 of this ongoing faculty development program on enhancing research paper writing and publication skills, which is jointly organized by the Purnima College of Engineering Jaipur and the MathTech Thinking Foundation Fazilka, I, Dr. Preeti, will be talking about publishing and peer review process. So, starting with the basic understanding of the publication journey from submission to acceptance and handling reviewer feedback, and then we'll discuss about the manuscript revisions, how to tackle with them, and techniques for enhancing visibility of our published research articles and how to enhance the citation rates for the same. And then we'll move forward considering the basic ethical considerations in research publication. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Yes,
You are
ma'am.
audible.
Okay.
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So, starting with the very first step, submitting a manuscript to the journal. So, once you are ready with the basic technical work that you have done, and then the first question that comes to anybody's mind is how to select an appropriate journal, because selection of appropriate journal for your manuscript, it is very important. And normally now the problem that we face in this is we are limited only to the journals that are being introduced to us by our research group members or literature survey that we have gone through in the first or second year of our PhD. I'm starting with the beginner and then we'll level up. But sometimes what works best for our supervisor or our seniors, that may not work best for us, because they are established researchers, and the journal in which they are publishing and the journal in which I as a beginner would publish, the level of the same would obviously will be different. So as a beginner in PhD, one should obviously seek advice from the supervisor or seniors, and one should not directly jump for a very hi-fi or high impact factor journals. And because what works for others may not work the very best for us. Okay, so and the another very important factor is timeline. So one must check for the timeline. It is really important whether you are a beginner or an established researcher going for exploring a new journal, that how much time in number of days or months the journal in which you are gonna put your manuscript draft takes for their first response and as well as for their publications. Because in PhD or even in the project, we are bound to some deadlines, right? So that deadline, in PhD, we are limited. We have limited number of years to complete in which a fellowship is provided to us, and then in the project also for sometimes for getting funding for the next subsequent year, we should show some results or output of the previous years in terms of the publication, right? So sometimes it is very important to check the timeline in which the journal is going to respond to us uh, on the first decision on our manuscript, or the time it will be taking for the publication. But however, once we are established, then as we expand our research group through research collaborations and our knowledge pool increases, so we come across the list in which our collaborators or the new research community in which we are joining, they are publishing, है ना? So the better is that you one should always I recommend one should always make a list of the journals like which are relevant to your field. Now, field here again in the research, we are very specific because suppose like I am working in applied or computational mathematics, but I am submitting my paper to a pure mathematics journal, then it may not work for me, right? Because the pure mathematics, they are only dealing with particularly theorems, lemmas, their proofs, etc. But in the applied, we are dealing with the software simulations, sometimes some kind of experimental results, the data analysis, etc., etc. Okay, so at the very first step, if I'm gonna do that, that the applied mathematics, the paper which is focusing the research, the broad area of research is applied mathematics or computational mathematics, and I'm sending it to the pure mathematics journal, so they will be obviously sending it back to me or rejecting, saying that it doesn't fall in the scope of their journal, right? So we should be careful with the area that our manuscript fall under the scope of the journal. And I always recommend to make a list of journals which are relevant to your field, because sometimes we are so much occupied with our research that we didn't get time or we can't remember over a period of years. So it's better that you maintain your own list and keep on updating it as soon as you are exploring a new journal, along with the impact factor and its indexing and the publishing house and the time for publication, or maybe there are some more factors that you want to consider, like sometimes page limits also journals have, so that over a period of time you will have your own priority list of journals, you know? So and PhD scholars, I recommend, like when you're sitting free or just getting like five minutes a day, you must try searching on Google Scholar or Google by using the keywords, typical keywords of your research area for the new journals, or maybe the ones we are not aware of, because sometimes there are journals with the very similar names and we are not aware of them, and sometimes you discover really good journals. Okay, so once you are done with your journal selection, you know, so and you are you and your supervisor have finalized that okay, this is the journal in which we are going to send our paper, then you must take the time to go through some selected articles which are narrowing down to specifically your research area, and they are already published in it. It will basically help you in understanding the journal's writing style or the journal format, and of course, as we already discussed, the timeline must also be mentioned there, right? Okay, So, and it is really an important point because when, and of course, you must rewrite your manuscript a little in the lines of the journal format, okay, or the journal writing style that obviously over a period of time we pick up, okay, that this, so that when we send our manuscript or our paper to them, so it should look alike to them, that like they should be able to get convinced ki, okay, yes, this paper it can belong to us, it is falling in the scope of our journal, and the writing style and the format and the template etc you are using, uh, which is particularly used for that journal. So journal style and format is again very important thing while sending a manuscript, because this is the common reasons. Sometimes in the initial stage our paper is sent back to us because it is not in the specific journal style or the format in which the journal is expecting the manuscript draft from us, because every journal has their own specific journal style and format in which the manuscript should be submitted. Sometimes some journals they are okay with Microsoft Word, but some they put restriction that no, we want it particularly in latex, and in latex also again they will be giving, okay, this is the template or this is the format we will be requiring your manuscript to be in. So of course that so once your manuscript is ready, so make some time for setting the format and style, rewriting and rewrite the manuscript and set the format as per the journal style and the format. And these days it is really easy because most of the journals they provide their own templates. Sometimes when you are working in latex or even in the Word, they will specify that we need this section. So one should carefully go through the author guideline sections and then should follow the instructions given for that particular journal for the smooth submission, so that your manuscript should not come back, because once it comes back, of course it is quite disheartening for us, and we are demoralized. So don't while sending your manuscript, pay attention to the that it must be in the appropriate journal style and the format or the template mentioned by them. Okay. Then the next step, as I said, that you should set, once you are setting your manuscript draft in the journal style and the format or their template, then sometimes people ignore this fact, but you must cite the papers, a few papers at least, minimum two or three from the same journal. Why? Because that will actually be, so one must cite the research papers from the same journals, as it will show that your article is the one, the kind of the articles publishing in their journal. So one must always refer to and cite a few journal articles from the same journal where we are submitting our manuscript. And another very little, it is very minute, but it is very, very important, because I have seen most of the manuscripts being rejected in the initial stage. Of course, once we are established, then we don't do it. But since there are PhD scholars as well in the meeting, so from their point of view, because sometimes we are facing rejection after rejection and we are not understanding what is the reason behind the same, why this is happening to us, because we are doing the same kind of works the others are doing and their work is getting published, and why not ours? The results are very similar to the others which are being published by, but why again? So these small things can affect a lot. So you should use, these days a lot of tools like Grammarly are etc are available. So before sending your manuscript to the journal, you must check for the grammatical errors peacefully. And most of the times, because in the initial stage reviewer comments, they always, for the first one, two, or three papers, you will be receiving for sure. Okay, there are plenty of grammatical error, because like me, from being from mathematical background, sometimes we don't pay much attention to the English, but it's better if we use the proper language, and we get it checked by already available tool, or in case some English instructor is available in your college as well, provided your supervisor allows you to share your results, or share your research findings, because that's confidential. Again, that's another issue. So once you are done with the journal selection, and your manuscript is in the proper format, and all the English and grammatical errors are being removed, then you should once again check for the checklist. You must provide all the necessary figures, tables, or supplementary data which you are using in your manuscript, which is being used in your research, or figures or table which are outcomes of your research work. And here again, one very common reason for which the manuscript is being sent back to the author by the editorial office itself before it will go for the review is that we are not providing the figures or table in the required format or resolution. So you must carefully check that what format, like TIFF, JPEG, EPS, or what resolution of the figures is being asked, and you should deliver the same quality. Okay, and then the next point is the acknowledgement conflict of interest statement, which is again important. Once you are done with the technical part of your manuscript, one must acknowledge, of course, all the sources, like the funding agency for the grant or scholarship, and your institute or the company for providing the necessary research infrastructure. And here's one tip that I would share, that once you feel that your manuscript is completed, it's done from your side, it was being advised to us during our PhD days and postdoc days as well. And I would also advise that you keep it aside. So my professor usually says that you keep it aside for a week. Okay, but these days we are very time bound, so at least keep it aside for 2-3 days, and then come back with a fresh mind. And then when at that point of time you will check it, definitely you are gonna find some mistake. And so this second check will assure the purified or more rectified form of your manuscript that is now being ready for submission to the journal. So apart from these things, the another point which I would like to mention here, the fifth, is once you're ready with your manuscript, you must again try to modify your abstract, title, and conclusions a bit, because most of the times in the minor revisions we receive these kind of comments that okay, you're or sometimes even we face rejection due to this. Sometimes we see that okay, similar work we have done, similar work someone else has done, but his or hers is being published, but why not mine? Because the title of your manuscript and the abstract, that is the title is the very first thing which will attract the attention of the editor, and then once it is published to the readers again, the attention of the reader again, so you will be able to attract right kind of reading community as per your research area, if you are giving the appropriate title. And prior to publishing, of course, in the editorial office itself, the title you are using, it should not be very too vague or too big. Sometimes we are using very long titles that should be avoided. And the keywords that you are using in your in the title of your manuscript, you should pay very high attention to that, because that is what is the reflection of your manuscript. Okay, so you should be very careful with the choice of words or the title, the keywords that you are putting into your title. So work a little extra on it, and your manuscript will be considered for the review. And abstract also, sometimes we are getting really good results, really good figures, tables, and validation, etc. But then again, we are not mentioning that good points in our abstract. Okay, so the abstract is like Like it is very similar. Suppose like we are having a walk on a road and we see, oh wow, this is a very beautiful house from the outside, and it we must, you obviously naturally have the desire ki, okay, we must walk in and see this should be really good from the inside or really beautiful, something like that, right? So in the same way, the title and abstract of your manuscript, uh, that is the main part which will attract the attention of the editor, and then once it is published, the attention of the right kind of people who are in, who will be, who your potential future collaborators. Okay, so work a little on it, and once you feel that okay, your manuscript is rejected but others with the similar work is being published, so you must try comparing. There must be better in terms of the title or the abstract or the conclusions. Yes, and now one more thing, applications I would like to mention here, and in the conclusions. Now you have worked a lot in on your manuscript, right? You have really worked restlessly day and night during your research period, and of course the conclusions, the findings of your research should be definitely of some use to the society. So you must mention, and in fact before selecting your research objective, or once you start with that, what will be the application that I'm working on this, this is the this will be the outcome, how it will be useful to the society or the existing research community, because that question will be asked to you again and again. Getting a degree is one thing, but the another main thing is ki, how useful is our research to our research community or the society. Okay, so you must mention at least a few lines on that, the application, and one or two, the very the line on the application which is very much correlated to your conclusions, you must mention that okay, okay, the application of this lies in the conclusion section as well, because sometimes the editor also don't have much time, so they will simply go through the abstract or little methodology and then the conclusion or resultant discussion set. Okay, so pay attention to this point as well. And this is actually the last but very important point when you are going for a manuscript submission, that is the plagiarism check. Okay, so plagiarism check is something that which will ensure that the research that we have carried out is original and it is not being copied from someone, or it is not stolen copying, or it is not matching with anybody else. It's our own original research. And plagiarism, I hope you all understand plagiarism.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it is preferred, always preferred to have the plagiarism in the manuscript to be less than 10%. You should always try for this. And journals usually reject a manuscript with plagiarism more than 25%. And while check, now the next thing is how to check it. So one must avoid, usually in BTech or MTech, graduation or post graduation level, for assignment checking or a little shorter project checking, you usually students go for free online software. But in PhD, where you are investing a lot of time, or in your research project where you have invested a lot of effort, so you must get it checked from some standard authentic software. And the another, you should avoid free online plagiarism software, because it may lead, your research might be stolen in this way, so you should avoid that. And the plagiarism checking, you must either you get yourself trained on how to check it using a particular software, like Turnitin is being widely used for the same, or get it done from a trained person, like maybe you are a supervisor or your senior in the lab, or maybe the librarian of the institute who has the access to the portal, because usually all of the institutes have their own plagiarism detection tool for which they are paying, and they have yearly or bi-yearly subscription. Okay, and why at the initial stage you should not try it, because sometimes there are a few settings which may lead to the submission of your manuscript to the repository of that particular platform. And when you will check it again for the plagiarism after like you are working on it and trying to reduce it, then it may show 100% plagiarism, and that will create a lot of problem. Specifically, like I would like to mention one I have seen in case of one of my senior. So she checked it with the setting of that submission to repository, yes, that option, okay, and it went to repository, and her pre-synopsis was over, and she was supposed to submit her thesis within the 6 months, and only 1 month was left. 5 months were already over, and during the process of checking the plagiarism, so accidentally or by mistake she submitted it to the repository, and then the process of after that, whenever she was checking, it was showing 100%. And when in our college, this was the rule that it should be less than 10% if you are submitting the thesis, okay. So then that process of removing it from repository, it may take some time depending on which tool you are using. These days, however, more advanced tools are coming with the very simple set of instruction. They are quite easy to use. So you should be familiar with this thing, that the platform or the tool that you are using, if there are manual settings, you should be very careful with this repository setting. Okay, so I was telling her story. So when so then she was in the process of removing it from the repository, so have to contact higher authorities in the college, and then they will be writing the mail to the plagiarism detection tool, their office, who was operating this tool, and it took a lot, and she suffered really a lot due to this thing. So you should be careful with this kind of things, okay. Okay, so now once you are done with everything, like you have selected journal, and then your manuscript is ready to be sent, and everything, each and every step you have taken care of, and plagiarism is also less than 20%, or it is really good if it is less than 10%, but sometimes like there are similar words which will obviously match, so there is some a provision in which you can again check it for that, okay, if it is matching at least 2 or 4 words or less than 5 words, then they will leave it, okay. And then this is how the typical review process or the publishing cycle look like, okay. So you will be submitting it to the journal portal, from where it will go to the editorial office, and the editorial office will check it for the that whether the manuscript that you have submitted is in the proper format, the template which is being used is matching, and whether you have provided all the supplementary or the required information like figures or tables in the proper format or not. And once they feel that it is okay, everything is being followed, then they will check the plagiarism, and if they feel that thing is also fine, then they will be sending it further for the editor's consideration. And if they feel that any of the points is not being followed, then they can return the manuscript to the author for the uh, resubmission, that we will consider submission of your manuscript, provided you do follow this format or send the figures in the correct format, etc, etc, okay. Okay, now once your manuscript is out of the editorial office, they say, okay, this is in our format, we can think on it. They will send it further for editor's review. Okay, so editor is the main person here now. So editor will be the main deciding authority who will decide that whether he or she should send it for the further review, whether the manuscript is the best fit for their journal and whether it is the research qualities of that level that it should be considered as per the reputation of their journal or not, okay. So editor can come up with either acceptance or rejection with the revision. So usually it happens if the editor doesn't feel that it is fit for our journal, or it is not following the scope uh, falling under the scope of our journal, so he or she will send it back to the author, that we can't consider, or you may try submitting it to another journal, and maybe sometimes if they are good enough, sometimes they will suggest you the suitable options as per your manuscript area of research. Okay. And in the other case, if the editor feels that the manuscript is the best fit for their journal, it is falling under a scope and it is really carrying some good research findings, so then the editor will send it further for the review to 2 or 3 potential reviewers. Now here again, sometimes during the manuscript submission process, the journal will ask for the reviewers from the name or address of the potential reviewers from your field, and sometimes they don't. It varies from journal to journal. Sometimes they will send to the reviewer of their own choice as per your area of research and the area of expertise of the reviewer, but sometimes they will ask. So before submission, you should be always ready that in case during submission they are asking you for the name of 4 or 5 potential reviewer along with the addresses, so you should be ready with that also. Okay. And now here comes the main part of the story, that once it is with the reviewer, then reviewer here the manuscript will actually take some time, where the reviewer will read and analyze the manuscript carefully, that whether it is giving some quality of the research finding, or whether it is just not meeting, or what meeting the criteria, or whether this manuscript should be considered for publication after the minor revision, or whether it should be considered after the major revision. Like the reviewer will send its list of comments to the editor, that what kind of changes or modifications are required in the manuscript. And okay, and then the editor will further circulate that reviewer's comment to the author through that online portal. Everything goes on these days. Earlier it was happening over mail, or maybe in the letters day years back. Okay. So so then actually this online portal is a very good thing, where everything will these days will be displayed transparently, that what is the current status of your manuscript, that it is being submitted, or it is returned, or it is with editor, or it is under review, and or the reviewer comments are received, and this is the deadline on which you have to submit it back to the journal after addressing the reviewer's comment. Okay, so any doubt to anybody till this slide? Hello.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so here comes the critical part of the manuscript publication journey, that is the revision of the manuscript and handling reviewer feedback. So once you are submitted a manuscript and the status is under review, as I just discussed in the previous slide, that once it is under review, then that means it is with the reviewer at this stage. So then at least for your first part of tension is being resolved. Okay, at least it is under review. Now we have to wait for the decision. And that once the status is under review, so you sit back, relax, and start working on your next manuscript or project, because the review process, it may take from few days to few months time, and sometimes even more than a year. Some journals, because they journal again, they receive a lot of manuscript submissions these days, and they have to attend each and every manuscript being submitted to them. They have to analyze, so it will take time. And of course, good, everybody want to get their paper manuscript published in terms of research article to a good journal. So good journals or the journals with high impact factor or good indexing SCI ones, they will take some time due to the submission queue of the manuscript. Okay, and of course, then once you are submitting, then the manuscript number will be assigned, which will be used for the rest of the future communication, and the submission mail will be sent to the corresponding author. Now, corresponding author here should be very careful, because that's the person who will be receiving all the communication from the journal side. All the emails related to whether the manuscript is rejected, accepted, or the review, every communication will happen to this person. It is one, usually in the initial stage, your supervisor will be your corresponding author, and then once you are established, you have published, and then you can also be the same. Okay, so actually, for the initial stage, as in the beginning, the first paper, you mainly learn about the technical parts of the manuscript only. Means, okay, that once you are done with your research and results are out in your hand, then again you have to write the manuscript. And in the first paper, you only learn, okay, this part, this is also part of the manuscript writing. Okay, introduction should be there, methodology explanation should be there, resultant discussion again should be there, conclusion should be there, this kind of table should be there for the information, or validation should be there. Okay, and okay, but in the second paper, the second manuscript that you write, you actually start learning the art of writing the manuscript. Okay, so be a little patient with yourself, and third paper onwards, the actual journey of you being an established author starts, because then you are done, you know what are the parts of your manuscript, what areas you have to address, because it varies from discipline to discipline. Okay, the style of writing for a humanities paper will be very different for or the heading of the sections for the humanities paper will be very different from the one in the science background. Okay, so now, once your manuscript has gone under review, and then you are lucky enough that you are receiving the reviewer's comment on your manuscript, or the quality of your work is, of course, really good, that you received it really soon. Now, the two things can happen. Either the first part is the decision, that either there will be, based on the reviewer's comment or their recommendation, the editor will directly say ki, yes, reviewers have appreciated and your work is really good, research findings are really good, so we accept your paper. And then the editorial office further will contact you for the rest of the procedures, like copyright transfer document, proofreading of the manuscript once they are done with the typesetting of the article, or then or the other formalities. Uh, but another case can be that the editor can reject, depending on the reviewer's recommendation, that the manuscript is not conveying the significant or potential research findings. Okay, and either is, once you receive the response, it is directly the decision of acceptance or rejection. The another is that editor conveys the reviewer's comment to you and assign some deadline to you. Okay, okay, you submit the answers to these queries or these comments by the reviewers, and these modifications or changes reviewers are wanting, so you do it and submit it back to us. And once the reviewer is satisfied with the modifications or the response, your response or justification to their comments, then we can consider your manuscript for the acceptance in our journal. Okay, so here starts the main work then. Okay, once you receive the revision, whether it is minor or it is major, revision is revision. Okay, okay, before we start with the revision, that how to handle with the minor or how to deal with the minor revision and how to proceed further for the major revision. uh, because the decision sometimes, of course, in the initial stage, PhD scholars face this, that the paper is being rejected. So in such case, just stay calm and try to find out the actual reason of rejection. You must discuss it with your supervisor or senior. Your seniors may guide you for the same key. This could be the possible reason, or you at yourself may are is this was the reason that grammatical errors or the English language used in the paper wasn't good enough, or you should work on it, or is the plagiarism was too high, like more than 25% or something, or is it not organized properly, or not clear in conveying the objective of the research or your research findings, because of course you have worked a lot on this. So it should be clearly conveying what are the findings of your key research. Okay, or is there so these are kind of minor points which you should look into, but the major, of course, then again is key: is there any technical flaw, is the methodology being used is correct, or shall I use another approach, or shall I before using any approach I should validate whether it is working properly or not. Or okay, you should take some time to consider to go through these points. And then sometimes, maybe due to a long queue of submissions at the editorial office, simply sometimes we may face rejection, or they will just say ki it is not in the scope of our journal. So in that case, you need not to worry. Try to look out for more suitable journals. These days a lot of journals are there. You the only thing is you should stay positive and try to look out for a more appropriate journal which will suit your manuscript. Okay. Okay, so then the next is handling reviewer feedback. Now in the minor revision, there will be reviewer comments on small issues like, okay, you work on the grammatical errors or English correction, or you provide us with the high resolution figures as the figure quality is not clear, or you redraw a few of the figures or tables in the uh, format that they will suggest, or sometimes they will suggest ki, okay, you reduce the content, or sometimes they may be asking you that why you are getting these kind of result. You must mention the valid reasons. And this is again another point, that to cite appropriate references, as I already discussed. Sometimes they can suggest you that you read these papers, and you must mention at appropriate paper, or these papers can improve your result and discussion section. You can get valid reasons from there why you are getting that kind of results, or why or it can give a more appropriate form to your introduction. Okay.
Lahat yan. Nangyayari.
Okay, so okay, then here comes another case of major revision. Now in the major revision, the type of reviewer comments you receive along with the ones in the minor revision is to validate. Now validity is a very strong comment, which sometimes we carry out a research but we don't validate it against some already published literature before starting, or using that particular method, or against some standard experimental results. So in the major revision, because of course validation can take some time, because you need to look out for the literature, or you look out for the experiment against the results of which you can validate your research finding. And the another thing they will ask you, you must explain. And in fact this reason, this second point you should already take care of while you are preparing a manuscript, that you must provide valid reason. Like in our pure in applied mathematics paper, mostly we see that these kind of comments are there, that why you are particularly getting these kind of results, what is the reason behind. So you must in fact before submitting your manuscript, you must go through the substantial literature survey to analyze the trend of you are getting in your results for a particular parameter or particular attribute, etc. Okay. And the other thing is ki they may ask you that you work on uh, now this is a little bit difficult when they ask you to change the method or the methodology used in that the methodology that you have used for carrying out your result, because it may not be possible at that stage, because uh, again when they give you the manuscript for revision, there is some timeline. Okay. There will be a deadline that they will give you 21 days or 15 days to submit it back, or 1 month, sometimes even 2 3 or more months. But sometimes if there is less time, and sometimes even it is not possible for you, because changing the methodology means a lot. That means you have to repeat your whole experiment again. This happens mostly in the applied or interdisciplinary areas, that you can't change the method. It is not practically possible. You have already spent a lot of time, energy, and resources on your current method. So in that case, you need not to worry. You should seek suggestions from your seniors or your supervisor, and in this case you should justify that why you are using your current methodology, how your current methodology or current method is better than the other methods. Okay. So you need not to change the methodology, but you can politely justify your answer, that why you have used and what are the benefits of your method over the another. Okay. Because to repeat the whole process is really difficult. But sometimes, however, they may ask you to repeat a part of the experiment that you have performed, or the simulation that you have done with a new set of parameters, because sometimes in the simulation papers it is being observed that people are just randomly taking values of very important physical parameters, like or for example, non-dimensional number. Now Prandtl number, they will be randomly taking the values, like it is okay, let's take 8 9 10 11 12. But sometimes, however, if you go for some standard values, like ethylene glycol have 51 Prandtl number at the 51 or 251 at the room temperature, or like for there are standard values like 0.72 or 7.2 for the fluid, air, or the water, etc. Okay. So sometimes if the reviewer is really good at the physical insights of the paper, so they will suggest that you use this particular parameter to perform the simulation or to perform the experiment, and then you will be getting the better results. Okay. Okay. So that was the kind of comments you will receive most of the time. Maybe there may be more kind of comments, but these are very general. Okay. Now the next thing is, once you receive, how to approach to reviewers comment. That is the main part of the story, because it starts from you now. Once you receive the reviewers comments, then you should address the each part of or each comment very carefully, and then two main documents you have to prepare. So one is, of course, the modified form of your manuscript after implementing the reviewer's comment. Okay. And the another is in parallel, which is mandatory. You must submit the response to reviewer's comment document. Okay. So in the while addressing reviewers comments, you should be very clear and to the point in your response, that why you have done that particular thing, and what was your intention behind, or what is the question being asked. Okay. And of course you should be really polite in your response, because publication matters a lot for us, and of course we should be in general also polite in life as well. And and the another thing here is, sometimes we receive when we receive a bit harsh comments, because in the initial state because we are new, we are learning. Okay. uh, you should not be disheartened. Okay, we should respect others' point of view, okay, towards our manuscript draft, because the reviewer, of course, is some established researcher from an academic or from very reputed academic or research institute across the globe. So we must respect their views also, okay. And we should also keep this thing in mind at the same, that okay, if you are very sure of ki, I have my research findings are really good and they are not able to understand, or something like this, if you are feeling, then maybe, because the research, of course, it is always new, so maybe they are not working exactly on that area or not able to understand. So you should provide more reasons or more proper justification to them to satisfy their curiosity for your research findings, okay. And while preparing the modified manuscript, you should always highlight the modified or the text that you are adding in any section, the new text, because sometimes they say you modify this whole result and discussion section, or you modify the introduction or the abstract you need to work upon. So then you add the new text in a different color, or bold letters, or any other color than the usual black color, so that it would be easy for a reviewer and as well as the editor, after you submit your manuscript after revision, that where exactly you have done the modifications, okay. And this is something you should be really careful. You must respect the deadline. You should not, ideally one should never cross the deadline given by the journal, because see, it builds trust. The trust is being built over a period of time, okay. So you always, one should always try to submit it before the deadline, and in the very rare case, you should ask for the extension of the deadline. Usually I recommend you should not ask for it, but still, if you feel like uh, there is some genuine reason, then you may try talking to the try communicating the issue to the editor and may get some time, okay. And but of course, delaying the submission of revision will again delay your publication, okay. And so once you receive the revision, you should be very serious. You should keep all your ongoing works aside, and you should be really after submitting that revision as your first priorities, okay. Because sometimes they will give you very few number of days to complete that revision. And of course, once you receive that comments, you may or may not be able to understand all of the questions or comments or the queries being asked. So you must take help at the initial stage. You should not be shy from that thing. Uh, you should always be ready to receive help, and of course, once you are established, you should give it back. You should help your juniors or the fellow researchers coming behind you, okay. And it is not necessary that you will always be able to implement all of the reverse command. As I said, ki if they're asking for change of methodology, okay, or sometimes they will say ki, okay, you do the experimental validation, how could we assume that this is correct? And that is not possible. So in such cases, as I already explained, that we should keep our viewpoint strongly, but again politely, that why we have used that particular method, or what are the benefits, or what is our motive behind using that method, how it is better to use this method in our current situation, okay. And in case for the second case, like if you are not able to go for the experimental validation, you must try going for a validation against the already published results, okay. If experimental validation is not possible, but at least your efforts should be visible a bit to the reviewer, okay. But the main point is ki you should be, your answer or your response to the reviewer's comment should be able to justify why you have carried out your research in that particular way, okay. And during the revision also, you must quote or cite appropriate literature which was being suggested by the reviewer, or which you have used during the revision process, okay. Okay, so we are done with the two parts. Now the next is ethical consideration in research publication. So I would like to take a pause here. And are there any questions in this part, what we have discussed till now?
If there is any query, you can ask. Any participant has any query? There is no query, ma'am. You can
Okay,
continue.
thank you. Okay, then we proceed for the next section. The next is ethical consideration in research publication. So the third part, which we are going to discuss today. So ethics deal with the moral problem related to the practice of research. When it comes to research, ethics mainly refer to the norms set or the values that guide our decision regarding the collection of data. This mainly specifically when we are collecting a particular kind of data or sample survey, okay, and or data analysis. When we are working into the data analysis problems, then uh, or to disseminate information on a research finding, then the practice of ethics in research comes into picture. Okay, so ethical considerations are basically set of principles that will guide your research designs and your research practices. Ethics revolve around the responsibilities of researchers towards their participants, their audience, their society, and their academic community. So whenever we conduct research on people, the well-being, specifically like in biological areas or health-related areas or psychological, clinical psychology, that kind of areas, the well-being of research participants must be our top priority. And researchers must refer to the ethical guidelines to ensure that they have adhered to the principles of good research practices. Okay, and now the next thing is, why do these research ethics matter? So obviously the goals of human research often include understanding a real life phenomena, studying effective treatments like in the medical biomedical fields, okay, or investigating behavior in a neurological or psychological areas of research, and improving our life in many other ways. So, what you decide to research on and how you conduct that research will involve the key ethical considerations which will work to protect the rights of research participant, to enhance research validity, to maintain the scientific or academic integrity. Okay, so these principles make sure that participations in studies is voluntary and informed and safe for the research subject. Defined research ethic will also lower the credibility of your research, because it's hard for others to trust your data if your methods are morally questionable. Okay, so it should be morally sound. Even if a research idea is valuable to society, it doesn't justify violating the human rights or dignity of your study. Okay, for good research practices, a researcher must adhere to ethical considerations like ethics of respect, the conflict of interest, the informed consent of from the participants, uh, uh, from where the information is being collected, the confidentiality, the anonymity of the participant, reporting back to the participant, like means the communicating the result. Okay, and trustworthiness of research. And sometimes there are other issues like issues of translation which may affect your qualitative research while collecting and analyzing the data. Okay, so now in ethics, let's talk about the ethics of respect. So all individuals who are involved in our research, they must be treated with respect and utmost trust. Basically, these ethical considerations are very, very important when we are working with the uh, data collection research, which is purely based on data collection from various sections of the society. Okay, and then in that case, we should be very careful and sensitive towards the participant. And any research must be conducted with consideration for the participants' respect, regardless of their gender, race, ethnicity, class, nationality, cultural identity, their religion, political beliefs, and lifestyle, or any other significant difference between such persons and the researcher themselves. Means we should not discriminate based on any of these factors. All of the participants must be treated equally and must receive close consideration for every point they make during the invest. Okay, then the next is conflict of interest. So it refers to the researcher's relationship with their research participants, especially when they are friends and colleagues. So a researcher must establish a clear and transparent relationship and interaction with all the participant during the different phases of the research. Specifically, we must be able to differentiate between our personal relationships with them as friends or colleagues and our relationship with them as research participant to ensure the seriousness and adaptability of their of the research being carried out. Okay, and the researcher should raise participant awareness about their neutral and unbiased. One should be neutral and unbiased to among all the participants. Otherwise, there will be definitely some kind of distortion of the actual truth or the falsification of the find. Okay, and the next ethical practice is trustworthiness of research. To establish the credibility and the consistency of the findings, the issue of reliability must be addressed. Trustworthiness refers to the extent to which data may have been influenced by the researchers present. That means it should not be biased. That suppose someone is carrying out some research based on the financial status in a country or in a state or city. Okay, then he or she should not be the one addressing a particular section of the society with the very good financial background or the very weak financial background. So the sampling should be unbiased at that point of time. Everybody should be given the equal chance. Okay, so that the findings that you are getting out of that research, the hard work you are putting, it should be able to give you as much as correct information as possible. Okay, and then these are the strategies which one can employ for maintaining the trustworthiness of research, like prolonged engagement. Okay, which will help you in gaining the deep understanding of participants' thoughts and emotion during and after the data collection process. Triangulation, that means you should be collecting information from multiple sources. And peer debriefing and reflexivity. We must share our research with other academic colleagues for the purpose of exchanging ideas and receiving feedback on our research, constructive feedback. Okay, which help us to remain focused that whether we are going on a correct path or not. We should seek suggestions from the peers in our field. Okay, and another is use of audit trial. So throughout the research process, one must be mindful that our responsibilities as researchers extend beyond our participants. So basically, we are carrying out the research for our reader community or our research community, that they will be benefited from our findings. So we should also keep them in mind. Okay, so all the decisions that you make during this process, you should mention uh, everything in detail in your report which you submit after that the completion of that project or that data analysis. Okay, so these are some another ethical issues which should be taken care of when if someone is working in this data analysis or data collection area. So the voluntary participation, the participants must be okay. I will adjust the screen share. Thank you. Shall I reshare it?
Yes, it's not visible.
Is it visible properly now?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am, it's feasible.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so these are some ethical issues which one should take care of while carrying out research findings. That is the informed consent. You like a doctor should not be carrying out some kind of research on the patient and the patient is not aware of. Okay, that should not be the case. That's just one example. So the participant from which you are collecting data, he or she must be properly informed, and we must take their consent, because we will be carrying their information, will be taking information from them for our study. So consent is very important. And one must also maintain the anonymity. Suppose we are studying on some specific kind of disease, or okay, so you have data that this person has this kind of disease or this kind of psychological issue or something he or she is suffering. So we should maintain the anonymity. We should not disclose their identity to anybody outside. Okay. And then there are some another potentials for harm which you should take care of. And you must ensure, of course, as an ethical practice to whatever area you are working in, that your work is free of plagiarism or any kind of research misconduct is not carried out, and your results are actually the accurate representation of your research. Okay. So you should declare that you haven't copied or you haven't did any kind of misconduct during the research. Okay. Okay, so now let's move on to the last part, which is the fourth one, the techniques for enhancing visibility and citation rates. Okay, and this is really, I hope it will be interesting, and I would really like to ask questions from you guys also. That what is the need? Okay, I'll stop sharing for a while, and then I would like to ask that why is it important to enhance the visibility of our research? Can anyone? Why it is so important for us to work on this, that the visibility of our research, or why the citation rates, they are so important, or what are the techniques? Yes, Kirti, actually I have purposely stopped sharing screen. I would just like to ask some questions on the way for your, to ensure your participation. So I'm asking, like, what techniques there are? Okay, thank you, Kirti. So what techniques we should be using, or what techniques the already established researchers, because there are professors with us also from various university. So what kind of techniques you are using? Can anyone please unmute and explain or tell us about, like, what kind of techniques you are using for enhancing the visibility of your result or your research findings?
Can I answer, ma'am?
Yeah, sure.
I've used response surface methodology, genetic algorithm, and response surface methodology for result showing purpose and for optimization.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, then we'll move ahead a bit. Okay. Is my screen
Wow.
clearly visible now?
Yes, it's visible. Make it full screen.
Okay. Okay.
It's visible. Can see it now. It's clear. Very visible now.
Okay, okay, thank you. Okay, so let's talk about the last part, which is techniques. So what techniques should be used for enhancing the visibility of our research, and thus to get a hike in the citation rates of our research article? Okay, so first question is why? What is the need and benefit to enhance this visibility? How will be benefited, and what is the need? Okay, so basically, the researchers, as a researcher, we wish to increase the visibility to attract more opportunities for collaboration, or even to highlight the impact of our research on a larger portion of society, that this is how it is being useful to you. Okay, and it would be really a disappointment if people who are not who are interested in, if the people who are interested in your work, they can't fully access your research. It means the community for which you are working on is not, your research is not reaching them, your findings are not reaching them. Okay, because as a researcher we had put a lot of hard work, we had spent plenty of time and efforts on writing and performing that research. Okay, and sending it to the publication, we had gone through a lot. So it would be a disappointment for us if it is not reaching the right kind of community for which it is being carried out. Okay, So it is really important to disseminate information that and to enhance the visibility of our research. Okay, we are working on uh, this kind of problems, and these are the key finding, and this is how it can be useful to you. So you must be you must work on enhancing the visibility of your research. Okay, and by making your research visible and accessible. Okay, accessible here again is another important factor. The chances of your research being noticed and used will be amplified, and leading to a hike in the citation rate, because citation rate, we all know these days, is a very important thing. H index, I index. Okay, while we are applying for a new career opportunity or a research scientist position or anything like that, they will obviously go through our profile and see how many citations we are getting, what is the quality of work. Okay, so we must enhance the work on enhancing the visibility of our research. Okay, so that it should be justified, our efforts should be justified. So increase and it will again help us, because at most of the academic institutions, there are criterias to be met before the promotion or other things. Okay, and now, what are the tools or the platform where we can which we can use to enhance the visibility of our research articles. Okay, so there are variety of online professional networking platform. I'm saying professional, not social networking, because that will again come to the personal thing. So let's stick to the professional networking platforms and tools which are available, and they are being widely used to promote the research work and to connect us with other researchers working in our area, to get help from them, to seek their suggestions, and to engage in the scholarly activities. So ORCID is one such thing, LinkedIn, then ResearchGate, Google Scholar, Academia, and there are many more. These five are the main ones. So I hope all of you are having an idea on these platforms. Okay, so and for those who are new to this, I'll just introduce them in a brief. Okay, so the first step as a beginner, if you're a beginner in the research, and even if you are established, then you must get your unique author identifier ID or SID ID, which is being said to distinguish yourself. Now, what happens? Suppose, like, my name is Preeti Parashar, and there is some another person name with the same name. Okay, and now I'm working in mathematics. The another person, she is working in let's say humanities, or let's say chemistry. Okay, so someone with my name, if it is searching, the Google Scholar will generally show all the articles. Of course, we all have gone through this, that we face a lot of difficulty while discovering that we put the name of the researcher that we have heard at some conference, or maybe from our supervisor, that he or she will recommend, okay, you go search for his this particular researcher's paper, and then come back to me with tomorrow. Okay, by reading them. Now you are actually confused which person that was being referred to here. So the ORCID ID will be really unique for all of them. So it will basically help you distinguish from the others, and your work from that of all of the other researchers. Okay, so these days almost all most of the journals are practicing this, that they, along with the author name, they will be mentioning the ORCID ID. I will be showing that symbol in the upcoming slides. Okay, the ORCID ID will be mentioned. Okay, so one thing is that another, so you should create your own unique ID in this area, research world. Okay, and create and keep up to date online profile on various professional networking platform like ResearchGate, LinkedIn, Academia. We all, most of us might have been using them. Okay, and we must use the available online tools like Google Scholar to enhance visibility, and Google Scholar is actually very helpful in keeping the track of the citation. Okay, who is following our research article and who is citing our paper, in that way we will be able to keep a track that where actually our research is being used, by whom, which person, which research community is using it, because from the citations we'll get an idea. It will give you instant notification that your work is being cited at this place. And in another way, as a beginner, you can also use the Google Scholar for following the latest research article for your favorite professor or researcher or the peer in your research area, because it will give you notification. You can set notifications for the same. As soon as the new article by that particular author will come, it will give you an notification in the email and you can go and read it. Okay, so it will keep you updated as well. So, and you must share your outputs on these online social platforms regularly. Like, this is the new paper or new publication you got this month, and or if any of your paper has got 100 citations or more than that, etc., etc., that kind of uh, updates you can try sharing. And another important thing is research collaborations. Collaborations is really important for enhancing visibility of your research. Why? Because when you collaborate, suppose 2 or 3 authors are working. So earlier, my article was, when I am uploading on my social networking page or my professional platform ID like LinkedIn or ResearchGate, it would be visible only to that particular group of researchers which are already associated with me. But when we do collaborate, it would be visible again when we share, and when the other person is sharing, it would be visible to their research group or their community. And if there are more than 2 authors, then the more groups or more communities, enhancing its visibility and citation rate. Okay, so our seed ID is basically something which will keep your which will maintain your uniqueness in the research world. Okay, and all of your research information, not only in fact research information, but your academic information as well, will be accessible using your own unique profile, which you will create on this platform, and a unique 16-digit number. Suppose, like I am sharing here my ORCID number, so a 16-digit number will be assigned to you. So if you put that ORCID ID and that 16-digit number, it will give you the profile of that person. Maybe we could do it online in parallel. Okay, so or I have got the screenshot as well. Like this is how actually it will look like. I apologize, it's being a bit long. I haven't updated my biography, so kindly ignore that. I haven't updated my current institute. I'll do that. So this is how actually it will look. The symbol for the same, your name will appear. You can write down there your display your calling name and your actual name, and then your ID, and then other IDs. So like if I'll click on this Scopus author ID, it will take me to the Scopus Elsewhere website. Okay, and you can add your Google Scholar ID or ResearchGate ID here also. Okay, and then you can mention briefly your biography. It should be, of course, more interesting than this. Okay, and then it will be mentioning under the activities section, the employment, like the previous places where you have worked in and from which duration to which duration you have worked. Now, why this is so important? Because sometimes we have met someone, let's say an year ago or 2 years back at some conference, and we know that that person was from that institute, right? But currently where that person is working, we don't know. So here this ORCID will be having all. First thing, it is unique, and then your brief biography and where the places where you have worked, and then your educational qualifications as well. Okay, it will mention. And another thing is, the main thing is works, the research papers that you have published, all of the details you should keep on updating in this page. Okay, so this is how it will look like. And of course, once you upload your paper here, so like source, like in the second paper, it is showing the source Preeti. So I have added these details, but it is not yet to be verified by the cross-ref. Like this first paper, it is being verified. So it will, it at its own will also verify that whether this publication is actually validated, it is actually published, or is it a something yet to be validated, or there is something like some standard flat. So one thing was ORCID ID. Now the another thing is you must create your profile, as we already discussed on the ResearchGate. I hope we all, most of us will be having the profile on ResearchGate, and ResearchGate is actually really beautiful, really helpful platform which will help us connecting with the similar minds or the persons working in our area. Okay, thank you, Wale Tilahun. I hope I have pronounced your name correctly. My apologies, and thank you so much. Okay, that it is being useful to you. Okay, so the next is create your profile on these professional social networking platform where you can connect and you can actually get help from the professors or the researchers, or working in the area in which you are working, because sometimes we are stuck in our code, the code is not working properly, and we are not getting help from anyone in our present research group. So in that case, we may connect to the researchers from another institutes or professors from another institute across the globe. So we can connect via ResearchGate, we can send them requests, and we can express our willingness to work with them or to collaborate with them or to seek their expertise on in our research journey. Okay, so you must create a profile on these if you haven't created till now. Okay, ResearchGate and LinkedIn and academia, they are more like once you are into the market for better career opportunities, LinkedIn will be really helpful them. And LinkedIn, one thing is, of course, you will require it once you are in a desperate need of job, but maintaining a LinkedIn profile and a LinkedIn network, it will also again take some time. Like it will not happen overnight that you are connecting with the right kind of peoples. It will take months or years to connect it. So parallelly, while you're completing your PhD or postdoctoral degree, you should try creating your LinkedIn profile, and then you should there also, just like Facebook, we can connect with the uh, persons from the process of connection is really similar, but from the professional good professional institutes. Thank you, Dr. Olavale. Okay, so then so you must create the ResearchGate profile, LinkedIn, and academia also. It just like Google Scholar, it will show you the citation related things. Okay, or and it will enhance your visibility of your key research findings. Okay, and then the third main part, which is to use professional tools like Google Scholars. We most of us are aware of which Google Scholar is really helpful, as it will, as soon as you create a profile and you upload add your paper on it, it will start showing. Okay, it will give you notification every time your paper, your research article is being cited somewhere. Okay, so in that way, like I already discussed in a few of the previous slides, that you will be able to keep a track. Okay, that like suppose you have published two articles, and one article is getting suppose it got nearly 20 citations in 2 months, and another, it has not got that much good citation. So maybe you can work on enhancing the visibility of that research paper, or maybe you can compare the quality of research and you can access at your own level. Okay, of course, because as an author, every paper is the best paper for us, because we have put a lot of hard work in that, right? Okay, so like for a mother, all of the children are same, one and same. So for a researcher also, one and same. but obviously over a period of time one will be the more favorable. Okay, so you can access on that basis, and as I discussed at Google Scholar, it will give you the notification on your own research, as well as the researcher to whom you want to follow, or the peer person from your field with whom you want to, maybe who could be your potential future reviewer, future research collaborator. You want to have a collaboration with them, so that to keep in sync with them, that on what kind of things that person is working, you are really liking his or her work, so you can follow that person on the Google Scholar, and it will be immediately, every time that person is publishing something, you will get a notification, so you can keep a track of that also. Okay, so and in so these three were the main techniques: ORCID ID and professional social networking platforms and the Google Scholar, etc. Now, another ways by which you can enhance the visibility of your research article or the citation rates for your research articles is you must share the outputs of your research regularly on various these social professional networking platform, because sometimes you can't share your full article due to some copyright restriction from the publishing house of the journal. So you can share a brief paragraph, or like what kind of work you are doing, or what are the application which will bring the attention of the kind of person or the researcher which are working in your area. Okay, or what methodology you are using. Maybe there is someone who is in the need of um, who is stuck uh, in that methodology, and you could help that person. Or maybe you can, your method and another person's method, you can combine and get better results, or validate your results against each other, so that the right kind of people can connect. We need not to connect with the all, but the right kind of people here, I mean, is ki the person, the researchers who are interested or who are already working in your research area. Okay, now the next is you should engage in research communities, like through conferences, workshop, or like here we Dr. Meher has created a really good group of through this online faculty development program. I appreciate his efforts. He's really hardworking, and have been connected with him since January this year, and he really put a lot of efforts. Okay, so, and his team all as well. And okay, so by engaging in such research community activities, we should we should be able to expand our group and our uh, we would be able to enhance the visibility of our research. Okay, then the another is research collaborations. As I already discussed, that it will enhance the visibility of our article to a completely new research network, okay, of our co-authors, and that will open door for new possibilities, new collaborations, new suggestions, or a significant hike in citations once your co-author share it on their platform. Because now here the visibility I was getting as a single author, or with someone from the same research group with which I was working since last 4 or 5 years, now it will be doubled or tripled or 4 times depending on the number of co-authors once the article is published and shared at uh, uh, by 4 different people on their respective platforms. So that is again a method which uh, one can use to enhance the visibility. And by collaboration, not only for visibility, we should always be open to learn whatever. Even when we are very well established, there is always in life, there is always a space. One should always make space to learn new things and to learn from others. We should respect their viewpoints, and so you should be open to that. And okay, so with this, I think so of course, and once we are established, always give it back to society what you have received. So always remember, stay grounded, that what help you received when you was a beginner, now once you are established, you should always be giving it back to the society in multiple ways, and you should always be helping them, your juniors or the person who are following your footprints. Okay, and these are some references which I have used for the ethical consideration. If someone working on the data analysis or data collection methodologies, so they can refer to for the ethical consideration. And okay, so thanks a lot from my side. Any questions, please?
Any queries from the participants? Yes, sir, please, you can ask. You have raised your hand.
Okay. Good morning, everyone.
Good
I
morning,
really
sir.
appreciate Dr. Professor Priya, for the, lovely, educative presentation.
Thank you.
One thing I would like to get is, you mentioned the OSID, that's the unique identifier for researchers. But in terms of using it with our research papers, is there a particular way or particular format in which we are to use it or attach it to our research papers?
Okay, so actually over CID, sir, it will basically help you to like display your information, your to maintain your uniqueness. Like okay, because sometimes we have person with the main intention creating behind our CID was to maintain your uniqueness. So suppose there is some another Dr. Olavani, so that person is carrying out research in some another areas, uh, in another discipline, but you are working in some another discipline. So the audience, the reading community should not get confused between the two. So in that case, they must refer to the ORCID ID. And these days, like I said, in the journal publication, the article itself along with the author name, to the right corner, top corner of the author name, the ORCID ID link will be there. So as soon as, suppose you are reading a research article and someone is reading your research article and that person really like your work and want to know, okay, I want to get connect to this person, let me see who he or she is and how should where he or she is working. Okay, so then they will click on that icon and it will take them to the profile like what I have shown to that page, and there they can get all of in the information about you, and then they can connect to you easily by seeing your current institute. Because research articles, suppose the article that I have written during my Doctor of Philosophy degree, I was associate with one institute, now I'm working in some another institute. Now if the person who is reading that article after 5 years, I published that before 5 years, now someone reading that article going to the website of the institute mentioned there, so of course he or she may not be able to get me there. Okay, so in that case ORCID ID will help. Okay, so ORCID ID will help him or her to connect to me uh, by displaying my current organization and from the track of organizations where I have been through. So it is really good platform to get all the information about a particular researcher. I hope I am able to satisfy your question and I understood it correctly. Kindly correct me if I am not able to like answer it properly, or is there any other query from your side, sir?
No, that's great. That's great. You answered it perfectly
Okay.
well.
Thank you
You very
so
much.
much, sir. Welcome. You're most welcome.
Any other queries? You can ask to ma'am or you can write in the chat box.
Yes, I think Dr. Wale Tilahun is there. So, sir, any question or any query? Sir, kindly unmute.
Any other queries? I think no more queries now.
Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, Dr. Kalpana.
Could you please highlight few, good UGC journals which are still in UGC list in 2024? I know that there is a list available, but
Yes.
over to that, if you can tell me few journals where publication is so fast and easy.
Okay, definitely, ma'am. But okay, we can connect on email, and but it's like
Okay, can
the
I?
UGC journals, like they vary from, like, in which discipline you are working, ma'am?
I write in HR, marketing, foreign trade, and
Okay,
analytics, economics.
okay, okay. So, like, I'm from the mathematics background. So mathematics,
Acha,
if you
acha,
ask
okay.
me at the current stage,
No,
I
no,
would be able to give you the list. Like,
नहीं मैथमेटिक्स
I
में
can
तो
say,
नहीं है.
but okay, but I would definitely help you in getting a good
Okay,
UGC
fine.
recognized journal for the HR.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kalpana.
And there is one, two queries in chat box also, please.
Okay, okay, okay. You didn't mention anything about Scopus, ma'am. Okay, yes. Yes, actually, that point, just give thanks for reminding me, Dr. Ismail. Uh, Actually, while we are selecting a journal, the indexing is really, really important. See, because like here in India, we have, like, in some particular institution, like just now, Dr. Kalpana asked, like, she is looking for UGC recognized journal. So the indexing is really, really important. There are institutions like where for submitting your thesis, you must be having at least two publication in Scopus Index journal, or in fact if the institute bar is a bit higher, so they will be asking for an SCI publication, Science Citation Index or Science Citation Index expanded journal. Okay, so once you go to the journal website, to Dr. Kalpana also I will recommend, like, once you go to the journal website, so there is the about section, and in the menu bar there, just look for the abstract and index, abstracted in or indexed in. Okay, so in that there will be a list coming out in the bottom. Okay, it is indexed in the Scopus, or it is indexed in the SCI or SCIE, or there are multiple platforms. So we are mainly interested, like here in India, at the one thing is UGC recognized, of course it should be, then Scopus, and then SCI. SCI, one should always try for SCI or Scopus at least. And of course, then country to country, maybe as per your country, like Dr. Kalpana said here, UGC index journal, the journal must be UGC approved. So you should look out as per your needs. But globally, Scopus index or SCI index, minimum Scopus, and I would recommend SCI. We should,
Excuse
once
me,
we
ma'am.
are established, yes, yes, Dr.
Ma'am,
Kalpana.
in case of management, SCI is not required, na? In case of management.
Okay, actually, Dr. Kalpana, it depends on your institute's requirement. Like sometimes in some technical institutes, like the ones to whom I was associated, there it was the criteria that for submitting your PhD thesis, you must have at least two SCI indexed
Because
publication.
you are from mathematics, na?
Yes,
That is why.
yes, ma'am. Okay. So maybe I'm not aware of that. I would look into, but thank you. I would look into, maybe for humanities and for like your area, it SCI may not be required. So one should always look as per one's needs, that what kind of indexing he or she is interested in, or their institute is interested in. Okay, so any other questions? Thank you, Solomon.
Your email address, please.
Yeah, sure. My email address is okay, I'll mention in the chat box. Yes, you can connect to me if anybody want any further clarification regarding journal selection or how to deal with reviewer comments. I would be more than happy to help. And I hope today's session is really helpful to you, and it has given you some new insights to, and it has added to your already available knowledge.
So sorry, hello.
Yes, yes.
Sorry, one last thing. I would like to also get what area of mathematics you, because I heard you mentioned you're in the mathematics line. So what area?
Yes, sir.
So in
At,
terms of collaboration, you get
okay, okay, sir. So, may I please know what area you are working in, sir?
numerical analysis.
Oh, great. Actually, my work during PhD was also like I have worked on fluid mechanics, hybrid nanofluids, heat transform. So the exact title was the numerical investigation of heat transport enhancement in boundary layer flows using a hybrid nanofluid. So it was a part of applied. It lies actually broadly in applied and computational mathematics branch. So where we were solving that heat transport enhancement problem. The governing equations were actually the fourth order PDEs, partial differential equations, and we were converting them to ODs and applying some transformation, and then using finally MATLAB software to get the results and then analyze the result or validate them against the available literature or the experimental results. That was the kind of work I have done during my PhD, and postdoc it was interdisciplinary, so that was entirely different. That
That's
was on air pollution actually. That was actually I have learned so much mathematics, so I was very interested at that stage that where it is actually being used. So my postdoctoral it was interdisciplinary. It was not in the mathematics department. It was in civil a department that comes under civil engineering. So they were working on air pollution at that time to control the to improve the air quality. So there I have worked on data analysis, like comparing the simulated data and the actual experimental air pollution data of that any particular Indian cities we were working on.
wow. That's really interdisciplinary.
Yes, thank you, sir.
That's great.
Because as a mathematician, we are learning since a lot and where the application is lying. So I was very much interested in contributing and doing that. But now I'm again back to the maths, and but I'm open to all the interdisciplinary areas. Okay. So I think Mr. Muhammad Yar is there. So any question from you, sir? Okay. Okay, thank you. I hope
Okay.
you had so.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for the informative and engaging session. Your
Okay.
presentation on publishing and peer review process was received very well by our participants.
Okay.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Again,
You are
thank you.
most welcome, Neha.